So one of the things that people who've known me for a while can tell you is that I put like a shitload of metal influences into my writing. Now, as you guys are aware at this point, I have been working on a novel for quite some time, since the beginning of 2017, as a matter of fact, with the novel being titled Dragon of Grace. And for this book, I've been drawing inspiration from a number of different places, particularly when it comes to video games. Um, the Shadow Heart series on PS2 was one of them. Final Fantasy, classic Final Fantasy when it was still turn-based combat, um, and action horror like Resident Evil 4 and onward. But one of the more unique places that I draw inspiration from is, extreme metal music. Stuff like death metal, melodic black metal. A lot of the melodic stuff, a lot of the melodic stuff, especially for this book. So, but there are a number of different reasons, like at least a couple, uh, that I draw that sort of influence from. So, the first is that often when metal music is portrayed in any sort of media, it's either stereotypical satanic bullshit, um, or the people interested, like the characters interested in it, are usually portrayed as villains and immoral and unethical douchebags. Um, let's see, and lastly, let's see, what was the last thing? Again, I don't script this out because I want it to be as authentic as possible. But oh yeah, or it's like, or it's like portrayed in comedy in a really stupid way, where it's all about guys who just want to look cool. So I get looking cool, and the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing was a big thing in the '80s. But I don't really feel like that standard applies to the modern era anymore. And and the reason I say that is because of how the music itself has changed over the decades. Um, you know, Back in the day, um, like news stations and Christian groups and all that would would like associate the music with like satanic rituals and all this other kind of insane shit. But and like it would also be, they would also try to link it to mood disorders like psychopathy, depression, suicide, all that kind of stuff. But I would argue the inverse is actually true. People who have those problems are drawn to the music because they've already had those issues. So that's how I'm portraying Maria's character in this. She is someone who struggled with mental health issues all throughout her life. And because of her experiences with these issues and her life circumstances, she was drawn to the music afterwards. So she got into it around the time she was 14, which was like prior to the beginning of the novel. So, yeah. And, let's see what else. It's hard to think when I'm like standing right here on camera and haven't prepared anything in advance. But yeah, it's basically just like, also given the fact that there's a lot of dark fantasy and action horror stuff, it just makes sense to me to have metal music be sort of the backdrop to all of it. So, I mean, facing a post-apocalyptic situation where you're hunting monsters using this power that you don't even know what it is yet. I mean, to me that sounds pretty fucking metal, but you know. So yeah, I just feel like a lot of the ways that metal is portrayed in the media is like it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't hold up in the modern world. Um, you know, as the story goes on, you see that these characters view the world in more of a pessimistic way than normal. I mean, some of the characters are a bit more optimistic and upbeat, but a lot of them are just like really downtrodden individuals who are depressed and who don't really like interacting with people. And given the state of the world today, like even though this was set during the 90s and early 2000s and everything, given the state of the world today, it's actually more relevant to the modern era than it even was back then. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, when you look around at the world, especially the last few years, we had people trying to fucking purposefully infect each other with COVID. We've had to worry about fucking nuclear war between like a genocidal old man in the White House and two fucking dictators to the east who apparently feel like invading their neighbors for land. And like I guess I don't know if they're doing it for strategic reasons or economic reasons, but apparently they still think we live in the fucking medieval ages where they can take everything they want by force. So pretty much every major player on the world stage right now is fucking evil and morally bankrupt and just they're bad people. That's really all there is to it. And that's like the kind of tone that I'm setting for this book, is that the characters view the world as an evil place that, that and they're trying to do what they can to make it better. I'm actually trying to portray I'm flipping a lot of the metal stereotypes on their heads, because the good guys are actually the ones who are into this type of music because of all the shit that they've dealt with before. So, yeah. And I guess that's really all I have to say about that. So, I just think a lot of the portrayals of metal, especially today, are bullshit. I'm sure a lot of you heard about the criticism that movie Lords of Chaos got back like a couple of years ago. That's kind of my view on it. So, yeah, because, every time somebody, even today we still have people who try to link metal to all this evil, stupid bullshit. So, and I guess so yeah, that's really about it. I think the portrayals of metal suck. And I wanted to do something better with it. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. And, yeah, I guess that's really about it. So now you have my reasoning for why I put it in so much stuff. Like, even before I started writing this book, I would even try to find ways to infuse metal references in fan fiction. Like, that's just how much I like the music and how much I want to see it portrayed in a more positive light. So, I guess that's really about it. I mean, you guys are free to have your own opinions on it, obviously, but, a lot of it stems from the satanic panic from, like, the 80s and 90s and stuff. It even carried over a bit into the 2000s, so, but yeah, I feel like we live in a different world today, and that metal as an art form needs to be taken a little bit more seriously, because a lot of the themes that are written about in metal are serious. Like, a decade before the Catholic Church got exposed on a massive scale, there were death metal bands writing about all the sexual abuse and everything going on. So, yeah. I just think it's more relevant than it's ever been and needs to be portrayed in a light that actually comes from the perspective of a metalhead for other metalheads. You know, not that I'm trying to speak for everybody, but I'm just trying to give my own experiences and share them with people that I think can relate. So, like I said, just leave your thoughts and opinions below in the comments, and we'll see what everyone else has to say. So, I guess I'll end this here, and that's pretty much it.